But I think realistically speaking, if that is your concern, which it very much should be given this lead, you're better off trying to weather the storm. And I think Archaludon's natural bulk is a good start towards that.
Yeah, it's natural bulk and the fact that Justin is using a Snarl Archaludon. Actually, both players are using Snarl Archaludon, but what's really powerful about that against Yuya's team is that by going with the special attacking Blood Moon Ursaluna, you could potentially just really negate the power of that Pokemon over time. That's going to be a Scale Shot trying to do the Scale Shot to the side onto the Archaludon, but came up Snake Eyes once again, means that that Body Press will not pick up the KO onto the Incineroar, which means Incineroar gets to go for the parting shot and switch out and drop the special attack of that Archaludon on Justin's side. And that is a devastating Scale Shot miss.
And Yuya would have gotten this switch regardless had that Scale Shot connected, but the fact that the Incineroar is still around does mean that it can come back in and intimidate and parting shot once more. Getting the Trick Room up on turn 1 of this match with the Ursaluna next to this Farigiraf, though, does mean that Yuya is free now to go on the offense. Justin does have Archaludon with Assault Vest, which is going to be your best answer to that Ursaluna on the field, like you were saying with Snarl, but there's no Snarls in play yet.
There's no Snarls in play yet, and the miss on the Scale Shot is even more devastating because you can't threaten with that Body Press anymore. That means Archaludon has to switch out. Volcarona will come in instead, which does also have the ability to lower the special attack of that Ursaluna with Struggle Bug, but Dragonite will also be retreating in favor of Justin's own Blood Moon Ursaluna, trying to match the damage of Yuya Tada's Blood Moon Ursaluna. Volcarona takes some big damage on the switch-in, though, but will be able to eat up its Citrus Berry and recover a good amount of that health back. Still in a 2-hit KO range of Earth Power, which means there are just no safe switch-ins there, really, for the Archaludon, but will survive this Psychic.
But the Ursaluna Blood Moon on Justin's side of the field does get in without taking any damage. So Justin has one opportunity here to try and even up the damage on the field. Unfortunately for this Volcarona, it doesn't have access to Protect. So it's going to be forced to either try and redirect an attack away from the Ursaluna or otherwise just buy some more time in Trick Room in hopes of getting through this these 5 turns.
Well, the speed interaction between these two Blood Moon Ursaluna are going to be so important. If Justin is slower than Yuya Tada, that means that he will be able to go before and potentially knock out the opposing Ursaluna with a big Terra-normal Blood Moon. However, if Yuya is slower, then that means that he will be able to move first and deal big damage, and there's nothing that Justin can do about it. And this is going to be even bigger damage with a Terra-normal plus a Helping Hand. The only way for Justin to dodge this would be to go first or protect itself. And you have to imagine with that Protect, Justin is worried about that speed interaction for sure. But even with the resistance and the Assault Vest on this Archaludon, that's good damage.
That is very good damage, but we finally get one of those stamina boosts on the board for Archaludon. And looking at how much damage that Hyper Voice did, it's possible that even with all of the boosts on the field for Archaludon, Blood Moon is not a guaranteed knockout at this point in time. And that's great information for Justin, because otherwise there's nothing really stopping this Blood Moon Ursaluna for just going for it right now.
Yeah, there's another Helping Hand for the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That is going to be a Hyper Voice again coming out, so Yuya's Blood Moon Ursaluna goes first, and that's a one-hit KO onto the Ursaluna on Justin's side. No critical hit, no nothing. That's just the raw damage of Terra Normal, Life Orb, and Helping Hand. Archaludon will be able to fire back with a Draco Meteor, which doesn't pick up the KO. Justin really needed that little bit of extra damage onto the Blood Moon Ursaluna there. I really loved what he set up there to sort of force Yuya to only be able to take out one of the offensive threats at a time, but he really needed that KO to make something happen.
He really needed that KO, or he really needed the opportunity to protect on the Archaludon this turn. Fortunately, Dragonite can protect, so that's another turn of Trick Room gone for one of his Pokemon slots. But in order to keep the Archaludon safe, your only option is going to be to switch in that Volcarona, who cannot take another Hyper Voice.
And Sinistra is going to switch in and caffeinate that Ursaluna on the other side, regaining some of the health that it took from the Draco Meteor. Justin will switch out the will switch out the Archaludon for the Volcarona this time around. And this Dragonite did not go for a Protect. It still has the multi-scale intact, so will be able to be one of the only things that can tank one of these Hyper Voices coming out from the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That will give Justin an opportunity to go on the offensive and make an attack here. Went for the Scale Shot. This one's going to connect onto the Sinistcha here. Needs a lot of damage and needs the Archaludon to be able to deal some damage back once this Trick Room ends.
But it does enough damage to activate the Citrus Berry on the Sinistcha, so depending on if this last Scale Shot hits, the Sinistcha could really mitigate a lot of that damage. But it's something.
It's something.
It's something.
And something is exactly what you need. Fortunately for Justin, the Trick Room has finally ended here, which means that there may be an opportunity to finally start, getting the momentum back for him. But there's still that Incineroar in the back, and there's still that Farigiraf that is perfectly healthy.
The Farigiraf is going to be running Mental Herb, so it's not the Throat Spray variant that would be, I think, ideal for this end game. It's going to be able to deal super effective damage to the Dragonite with Dazzling Gleam, but overall, it's still going to be the Blood Moon Ursaluna that Yuya will probably want to pick up this end game. So if he can set up Trick Room one more time with this Sinistcha, I think that's the win con he's going for, especially with this switch.
Yeah, well, this switch especially is going to make it really difficult for Justin to stop anything from happening here. The Scale Shot trying to connect onto the Sinistcha, but the Intimidate is doing so much to mitigate that damage. Gets the 5th hit this time around, but Sinistcha needed that extra hit the first time. It needed a couple critical hits on this time to try to break the Sinistcha or a double target from the Archaludon. And it's that one Scale Shot miss, the 5th hit, that allows Sinistcha to survive for one more turn here in the red health and go ahead and set up the Trick Room on his own. But I think what Yuya's switch in here was really smart, because even if Sinistcha went down there, you'd be able to bring in the Farigiraf and set up the Trick Room with the fake out pressure anyway.
Exactly, and I love how Yuya played this game, because support the Ursaluna Blood Moon is the perfect strategy if and when you catch your opponent off guard, and that's exactly what we saw. It was kind of surprising to me that we didn't see Justin lock in the Grimmsnarl in this matchup, given that one of the ways that I think Yuya's team really succeeds is getting the Trick Room up for Ursaluna Blood Moon, then using Farigiraf to stop fake out, using Sinistcha to heal it, and then you also have the Incineroar as well to do what it does best and just be there.
Yeah.
But going into this game number 2, I do think that Grimmsnarl is a very natural adjustment, if only because once Light Serene is on the field, all of a sudden that Blood Moon Ursaluna is no longer going to be able to deal that crazy amount of damage. It'll just be a normal amount of damage. And with that little bit of extra breathing room, I do think that Justin will be able to find his way through Trick Room a little bit easier. The question, though, is if Yuya brings both his Trick Room setters again, can he get through it twice?
Yeah, that's a big question, but I don't know that Justin really needs to do too much differently, because let's not forget that first turn started off with the Scale Shot missing onto the Archaludon.
True.
If that had landed, you definitely would have been able to deal big damage to either the Incineroar or the Ursaluna, and just having that available to one-hit KO that big threat on Yuya's side makes that those Trick Room turns so much more difficult. But Justin is not going to go for that risk, or maybe Yuya says, oh, actually Justin had an answer for that and I got bailed out by that 10% chance. Let's both switch it up here.
I also think that Justin has put his life on the line with Scale Shot one too many times. I respect the fact that he made the adjustment.
That's Pelipper going for the Terastallization into the Terra Stellar immediately. Going to boost the power of the Weather Ball and the Hurricane on that Pokemon. And that's an aggressive Terastallization.
Ooh, okay.
And it gets punished with a Thunder Wave. That means that Pelipper is now going to be slower than the Blood Moon Ursaluna. But because there was no attack, that does mean that it will be able to survive this turn because of that Focus Sash, and at least fire off one Terra Stellar Power boosted attack. There's the Electro Shot that connects straight onto the Grimmsnarl, deals good damage there, but the Earth Power comes out from Justin's own Ursaluna and picks up the one-hit KO on the Assault Vest. This is why Assault Vest Archaludon has always felt a little bit fake, because Blood Moon Ursaluna still one-hit KOs it.
And this is oh no!
And there's the paralysis making up for turn 1 of game 1. Yuya is not able to deal any damage with that Pelipper, is not not able to go on the offensive despite the terastallization.
And this is why the Blood Moon Ursaluna broke up the friendship between the Incineroar and the Golden Go. It has so many answers to what is good in the format right now, especially when it's holding the Life Orb. I think this is one of the later adaptations of this Pokemon in Regulation H, and it is such a threat. That now being said, I think we're finally going to be able to see the speed interactions between these two Blood Moon Ursaluna. Maybe next turn if this is a double protect, or not.
That's just going to be a faster Blood Moon Ursaluna from Justin
Whoa!
Tang. 2 attacks, 2 KOs from Justin Tang's Blood Moon Ursaluna. It is not happy about how game 1 went.
And the confidence. We haven't even seen Grimmsnarl go for a light screen yet. Just went for the speed control on the Pelipper, and now I think I saw a Spirit Break going into the Pelipper. Probably was the Ursaluna before it was knocked out. Did take a bit of a risk there. Had a Weather Ball connected into his own Ursaluna, we would be looking at a different game, but you can see why Yuya locked in the forfeit right there.
Yeah.
Those were 2 insanely game-defining knockouts in those 2 turns.
Yeah, that's kind of just what Blood Moon Ursaluna does sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
If you let that Life Orb Blood Moon Ursaluna get rolling, it gets rolling. And what's really impressive about that, you mentioned the confidence that Justin had. There was no terastallization either. He knew exactly how much damage he was going to do with that Blood Moon. He knew that his opponent would not be able to survive it. And, you know, we saw there Yuya locking in the forfeit. No way out.
But now you ask the question of how you respond to that, because clearly the Archaludon and the Pelipper was not the answer that Yuya was looking for. And if you go back to that Trick Room mode, is the Farigiraf's bulk enough? You could always bring that Incineroar alongside of it, as Justin has no way to stop Fake Out on that Ursaluna, as it's also a Terra normal type, so it will be able to, you know, always be flinched or forced to protect in that situation, which would guarantee the Trick Room setup. And you can't even think about a Thunder Wave into that Pokemon, as Armor Tail will stop Prankster. And then once Trick Room is set up, you know, assuming the Ursaluna is slower, which is what it seems to be like, you will then be in the driver's seat. And it looks like that's exactly the adaptation Yuya's going for.
All right, I love this game 3 leads here. The Incineroar and the Farigiraf against the Dragonite and Ursaluna for Justin Tang. As you can see, he's locked in the same thing as game 1, but hiding it a little bit this time. And if the Scale Shot can land, it could be really powerful, and we could see exactly what Justin was going for in that first game.
It's a risk, though. At least you have the Blood Moon Ursaluna to back it up, and admittedly, maybe the fact that the Ursaluna will come back in and then you can protect it that turn will buy you a little more time, but you're still putting everything... Okay, you got 1 stamina boost, so that's pretty good.
Even better, a bonus stamina boost from the Incineroar. The
No,
Scale Shot
no!
Oh, it hits this time. Okay. Oh, no.
That's split-second delay. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that split-second delay, if I felt it like that, then you know Justin felt it like that, too. There's going to be this Scale Shot connecting onto Archaludon. The defenses will raise, and now, finally, Justin gets the beefy Archaludon he was hoping for in game 1. That is now max defense Archaludon with that Fake Out as well. So here comes the Trick Room. Yuya, you didn't get the miss on the Scale Shot. Show me how you defeat this Archaludon.
The nice thing is that with Incineroar on the field as well, there is no way for Yuya to immediately go on the offense. He will have to parting shot or let something get knocked out this turn. The Farigiraf as well is going to struggle to deal damage, as multi-scale is still in play, and the Archaludon will just naturally resist both of its attacks. So overall, I think Justin is in the driver's seat, despite the fact that Trick Room has been set up on the field.
Yeah, and I think he's in the driver's seat because this Volcarona is now coming in.
Yep.
You can see Yuya is just going on the offensive, trying to get all of the damage that he can off onto the Archaludon. Knocks off the Assault Vest because you're never going to get any damage on the physical side anymore, but that Volcarona is also going to be able to use that Rage Powder to protect the Archaludon for the rest of the game.
But in this situation, there's no need to redirect any attacks, as the opposing Incineroar could consider going for a Flare Blitz here, but I think what Justin is thinking with that Struggle Bug is that you want to try and catch the Ursaluna Blood Moon on the switch, because every turn that Yuya is wasting in Trick Room is another turn towards your win condition. And there's nothing stopping this Archaludon from going for body press after body press, because it's up to Yuya to answer that.
Yeah, and Yuya is not going for any switches because it is too risky with this powered up Archaludon on the field. Just going on the offensive into the Volcarona deals great damage with that Flare Blitz, but will be mitigated with the Citrus Berry. And the Dazzling Gleam keeps chipping away at the Archaludon, which could add up over time, but it's got nothing on this body press that wipes Incineroar off of the map here.
Which means Yuya can now get the Ursaluna Blood Moon on the field. So that is one good thing for Yuya.
Single target, super effective Struggle Bug KOs, we love it.
And now can also get another Pokemon in next to that Blood Moon Ursaluna to provide support if that is the back line that Yuya has. And it does look like it will be the Sinistra and that Ursaluna Blood Moon. So can't necessarily take advantage of the Hospitality ability, but can try and use some Rage Powder support of its own, which will definitely make things harder for this Archaludon. Now that being said though, several turns of Trick Room have already passed, so Justin's win condition at this point in time really is to just stall out the remaining couple turns of Trick Room. And with all 4 Pokemon remaining, that's a lot easier than the first time around.
Absolutely easier said than done. And Justin is just using the threat of a Rage Powder here to potentially stop Yuya from going for a big Earth Power or even a Blood Moon into the Archaludon to pick up that KO. Instead, Yuya will go for the option to Terastallize into the normal type and go for the Hyper Voice and not go for a Rage Powder on the Sinistra. Archaludon survives with 22 hit points. Sinistra may get a chance to move before the Archaludon. The Matcha Gotcha connects onto both Pokemon here. Is Archaludon bulky enough to survive? It is with 10 hit points, and the body press connects right onto that Ursaluna, and that just means Sinistra is all alone. And this was the master plan in Game 1 brought to fruition here in Game 3 as Justin Tang is about to lock his 4th consecutive top cut of Regulation H.
Archaludon playing to all, or Yuya playing to all of its outs, hoping for